Thank you.
Okay, could everyone take your seats, please?
Back to,
Yeah, thanks.
we're already back. Oh, God.
Take it off, right, Brian? Get out of here.
11
Gentlemen,
o'clock.
we ready to go?
Oh, my God.
Go ahead and bring the meeting back to order again, please. All right, at this time, council, we have the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda which you wish to pull? We have
Just take a look
questions
at E, it's the
E
bus,
Annexation.
no, the D then, bus schedule.
or D?
Yeah, interlocal.
Item D. Is there any other item?
D? Yeah.
Okay, item D.
I'll move to approve the remainder.
There's motion
And I'll
approved remainder,
second.
and there's a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Okay, item D.
My only question, Mr. Mayor, was in the report, it didn't indicate ridership, and I just wondered what we looked like during that period of time. John, I'm sure you have it, but
We've been meeting quarterly with both Lee Tran and the CAT representatives, the Collier County, to monitor the status of the link in particular.
yeah.
And they're very impressed with the ridership numbers. The ridership numbers are, I don't have the specifics, but they're about 60% above what their projections would have been. And it's held consistent through season and off season. So the ridership numbers are very positive. It's also had a positive spin-off effect on the 150 east-west route.
Okay, good. Don't pay
I can get
attention
you
to-
the
No, that's
exact
fine.
numbers. but-
I think that was about what the BMPO thought as well, but I want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. All right, any questions?
Yeah,
Bill?
Steve, to your point, I did an analysis of the trips, and you realize that how many people actually use the bus, whether it's the link with Naples or it's the bus 150, and on a daily basis, there are approximately 75 people that use the bus 150 line. That's taking the two trips back, and I may be off a couple dollars. I don't think so. 75 people on the bus 150 line, and our population is 46,000 people. Secondly, the one that goes down to Immokalee, I have that at 185 people per day use that particular thing. I understand. I've been doing this for years now. Mass transit is certainly a thing that many people need in major cities, but from a cost perspective, my perspective, it doesn't work. And I know there's 4 votes to do it up here to continue that, but I just wanted to give you that information to understand that, and I don't anticipate any dramatic increase. If it's only 185 now for the link over there, it's really a non-starter for me, but I know we will continue to provide that. There may be other ways to do it, but but they do have new buses now. They have I saw one that on bus 150, the one that's the new one. It's a little smaller. Does it have more than one fuel supply or something? But it's modern and it's beautiful. And I observed the last one I saw last week is over at the Publix there on Bonita Beach Road. And of course, no one left the Publix to ride the bus around 150. But they're my observations over many years. So I just wanted to get that out to the public. That's all. It's
Good. And John, I mean,
non-sustainable.
the 150 has shown continual, very strong growth over the last couple of
Fine.
years, right?
150 has been fairly consistent, slight growth, but it's the link line, the north-south, where we've really seen a tremendous increase.
Yeah, yeah. And it's part of the connector to the system.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd move to approve.
I have a motion approved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other further discussion?
Link.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simon?
Absolutely.
Councilman Longcart?
No.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Okay, we are to public hearings. Let's see, and public comment will be allowed. Audrey.
Thank you. We have 2 resolutions, both for administrative codes and both dealing with Senate Bill 50, setting forth procedures. The first one is for city council meetings. I'm bringing this back to you. We did discuss it at your September 4th meeting, where council advised staff that they did not want a policy that prescribed any procedure for dealing with representatives of groups or factions. So that is not written in the policy as currently drafted. The other changes are in there. It was interesting, the point that Mr. Steinmeier made. The code does not require addresses. I looked at that after he made the comment. As far as the prescribed form, I believe it is on the form if people wish to put it down, but it's not something that the city clerk normally prescribes, and that's not in the code. Just
Okay,
to let
so,
you know.
so on the card that we design on there, we could put on there not necessary or whatever.
Right.
The only thing necessary is we want to have their name, actually.
Right, and I believe the form already says, do not complete any part of the form where you do not want to disclose this information.
There you go.
So we have that. We are sensitive to privacy rights. I do want to point one other thing that I did put into the code. Sorry, wrong code. I'll wait until we
Okay.
get to that one.
Good. Council, any questions for Audrey before we go to public comment? At this time, we'll open for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward.
Also, in the packet, it says that you have to put down what you're going to talk about and whether you're a, nay, or neutered on it.
That's for the cats.
So just throw that in for a little comedy. The staff presents something to you, the elected officials, and you, the elected officials, decide whether the staff has presented what you like to see, and you vote on it. Me, as one of the we people of this country who hired you guys to do this work, give you the responsibility to interpret what the staff, which is not hired, which is not elected by us, whether their presentation is proper or not. Now, if I have to put down whether I believe in something or not believe in something, that's my comment is just a comment. I might have good things to say about an issue or bad things to say about an issue. I don't think I should have to put in writing whether I feel good or bad about an issue. Now, this is an example of what this happens is, I know you've probably been to meetings where it's, we'll fill out this card and we'll ask questions to the commissioner or the representative or whatever, and somebody takes all these cards, goes through them and picks out the ones he wants to answer. And then those are the ones that he answers. He doesn't answer the ones that he doesn't want to answer. I've seen that happen, You get 50 questions and you answer 3 of them. So that's the way I don't think that should be done. I'm glad to hear that I don't have to tell people where I live. I live in Bonita Springs, because if somebody doesn't agree with me, they could come to my house and, harass me. Or while I'm standing here, they could go to my house and break into it. But look out for the 45. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Ed Fitzgerald, just in reference to some of the discussion on the DRGR.
This is specifically to this issue right here. I'm sorry, Ed, I didn't make it
And
clear.
I'm sorry also.
Apologize.
Excuse me.
That's okay. That's all right. There'll be time for that. Anyone else wishing to speak to this issue on our advertising and public speaking? Speaking about public speaking. here.
Mayor? Oh,
If I,
1 second.
is this about this?
Is there still a possibility for a resident to speak for 10 minutes if sponsored by the city manager or city council or the mayor?
Yeah, that's not affected in the administrative code. That will continue to be if you set that up. Yeah.
And if my councilman, the one that falls under my district, fails to sponsor me, which happened in my case, I'm supposed to go to the mayor And when I called your office because you cannot be reached here,
Mhm.
my buddy from Wonder Gardens, Kid, who I guess works for you,
Mhm.
said that my calls are not welcome in your establishment to my associate, Shirley Ranscombe. And then when I called, I was advised equally that I am not welcome to call your establishment. Why am I not welcome to call your establishment? To request
I'm
for
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you why. Since you asked that question, I'm going
Thank
to tell
you.
you why. It's because it's Alberto. It's the frequency of your calls, and it's that the issues are the same, no matter what answer you get. And I'm being very frank with you and very polite with you on this. It's just that you repeat these same issues over and over again, and no matter what answer you get, you always call back for the same issues. And so after a while, it becomes a little frustrating for, I think, the people involved. It's really not personal. It's not anything else other than that. And I understand that you don't like the answers that you get sometimes, but that's essentially what it is. And after a while, people get a little wore out about it, and so that's it. It's not that we don't want to take your calls. If you called up with something new and exciting, that would be great. But it's usually the same thing. And
The problem is I have no answers, and there is no documentation of me getting any answers because no answers have been
I'm
given.
sorry. We do the best we can. And
What do you
and
mean? Where are the
I
answers?
said that we did the best we can.
Comment.
And we won't turn this into a debate. I'd be glad to debate with you some other time. But
So when I did it in writing, you responded to me this morning that my issues have been entertained by the city manager at great length.
and that's what I just told you again, is that you keep bringing up these same things.
No, first of all, they're not the same things. Second of all, none of my issues have been addressed adequately
Okay.
by the city manager at great length.
Yes.
So we should establish, therefore, a dynamic that will bring about the evidence or the supporting documentation, if you will, of your answers, which are basically just brushing off.
Okay,
in a
well,
nutshell.
as it applies to this ordinance at this particular time, we're going to have to hold you to that. So
Very good.
thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak to this item? Please come forward. Seeing none. Council, do you have any questions or adjustments? The one issue so far is having to put yes, no, support, not support. That's something you don't have to put down, right, Audrey?
Correct. In
And-
fact, it's not even on the form for city council.
It's not on the form of city
I
council.
believe it's on the zoning form. We have two separate forms.
Right. And that's to avail people that actually want people to know that they're against something. Sometimes we'll get 30, 40 people in there, and they're like, yes, I want it known that there were 30 people in here against it or for it. So that's what that part is for. If they put their first name down there, that's fine. If they walk up to the microphone, and we will still entertain anybody who wants to give comment here, as long as they do so within the parameters of good decorum. Okay? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Anything you want to add to this?
Yes, I do. And I just want to comment to Mr. Steinmeier's point that as to that particular language, it's staff who's not elected, and I agree with him, but the Florida legislature has been elected, and this is the changes that are being placed in here are based on a new Florida statute, and in order to be compliant with that statute by October 1, that's where this language is coming from.
Okay.
And it's straight from the statute.
Okay. And that's all we put in there. We haven't put anything else in. Okay. Council, do you have anything else, or would you like to go ahead and,
So move.
okay, there's a motion to approve and to adopt the resolution. There's a motion and a second. And Audrey, there isn't any second reading or anything like this?
No,
This
this
is
is
it.
an administrative code. This is it.
Administrative code. So there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Slack.
Aye.
Okay, Audrey, what else do you have for us?
Thank you. Similar to this, and talking again about Senate Bill 50, we have another administrative code, and this one is the supplementary procedures for the city's boards, committees, and agencies. Again, the language in here did not include what was also in the state law dealing with if you wanted to have just factions. The laws are pretty much the same. There is some more with the exception as to quasi-judicial hearings that are sometimes held by zoning board, historic preservation. We don't require a form before the advisory boards. We do require it before zoning. And also LPA, and it's actually a separate statute that the LPA has to have them during certain types of hearings, comprehensive plan hearings. So there is some changes there compared to the other system, but it's relatively similar. I did make another change, and I'm going to apologize if it's okay. I'm going to read it to council. I meant to have an errata sheet and did not include one. And it deals with Commission on Ethics Forms 8B, where advisory boards have to comply with those forms. And there is a state statute, which is 112-3143, subsection 6. And I'm just putting into this, in the advisory code, that when you're doing appointment or reappointment of advisory board members, City Council will consider the number and nature of memoranda of conflicts, which is the Form 8B, previously filed by an appointee or reappointee in consideration of an appointment. You're supposed to look at their ethics record.
Okay, good. Any other questions, council, before we go to public comment?
Yeah, in relationship to that, if you have a board member who didn't file a Form 8B and has a fine against them, is there anything in the new rule that says you can't reappoint them or you have to unappoint them?
You're to take it into consideration. How you take it into consideration is something that legislatively council decides.
Okay, so there's no ruling about whether a person, okay.
We just need to make sure you get that information so you have it for your decision-making.
Okay, good. At this time, we'll go ahead and entertain public comment on this. It's for the procedures for the city's various boards, committees, and agencies following the adoption of the Senate Bill 50. Anyone wishing to speak to that matter and that matter alone, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Council, what's your pleasure?
One more
Yes,
time.
go ahead.
About the Form 1B, you know.
8B.
8B, I'm sorry, yeah, 8B. Okay, it's like a 1B, right? So, the financial disclosure.
You're going to have me talk about Form 1 in a second.
Yeah.
No, Form 1 is financial disclosure. Form 8B is voting
Conflict. Okay. So, that's what I really wanted to ask was a Form 1. That our advisory board members are required to file a Form 1. Is that not right?
Some are, some aren't. It depends. It's usually only those with land planning responsibilities. So the LPA, zoning board are required. Currently, your historic preservation board, I think, is required.
Yes,
Okay,
it
they are
is.
required. And there is an amendment that is being processed. There's some other changes which has caused a delay to take them out. Council is mandated to have land planning responsibilities and whoever else they wish to designate. That's one that was kind of a wish to designate because you could say, well, they don't really have land planning by certificates of appropriateness. Maybe they do. That's a council decision. But staff recommendation is to take them out.
Well, I think it's appropriate to have it for the LPA zoning board or, you know.
That's state law. We have
Yeah,
no choice there.
okay, and the historic preservation board.
Well, that will come before you at another vote. Currently, it is something that the historic preservation, it's not in this code, it's actually in the historic preservation ordinance.
By state statute, if somebody fails to do that, what happens?
They can get fined, it's 25 a day, that's what, 25 a day plus cost of prosecution by Commission on Ethics. It has happened in Bonita Springs. We've had somebody where they did not realize they had to file.
And they still have a
accidents
fine.
happen.
And they still have a fine.
I believe in that particular case, the fine was waived by the Commission on Ethics.
Well, somebody still has a fine. Okay, well, I don't know.
That
if-
they need to address with Commission on Ethics because they now
Sure.
have new powers to turn that over. So if any of you ever forget to do something or if we forget to do, they just changed the law on that to make it more collectible.
That's so nice. We need more collections. Great. Okay, so would we want to consider something in here that says failure to clean up that record and get that right would be cause for removal or something?
This is a great discussion. We have not had this in a long time. My recommendation to City Council is let the Commission on Ethics do the ethics rules. Do not impose additional ethics requirements. Other governments do that. And a lot of times when they do it, they don't realize that there are some unintended consequences.
Okay.
So for example, if you have a zero tolerance gift policy, somebody buying a cup of coffee is now prosecuted.
Can't do that at the state level, can you? No cups of coffee there.
I'm not sure if coffee or meals are accepted out.
No.
I know Florida legislature.
$10,000
did
check to the
change.
PAC, that's okay.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so your recommendation is not to put that here because it could be a problem. So refer anything like that to the Commission on Ethics.
Correct.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Council, what's your pleasure?
Move.
Have a motion to move the item, and is there a second? A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Slackton.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye. Audrey, do you have anything else for us under that?
Under public hearings, no, sir.
Okay, good. At this time, we will take public comment on any item whatsoever. You just come on up here. Anyone wishing to speak at this time, please come forward. Now you come up, Ed.
I'm not noted for doing too many things right,
Ah, yeah, you are.
but everybody remembers those wrong things.
Oh.
In regard to the recharge and the whole discussion, DRGR, there must be some technology that can tell if you put a quart of water out in the recharge area that it doesn't get down 500 feet into the aquifer. If that technology is available, I doubt it, but if that technology was available, why isn't there technology that would fracture the impediments to water draining down? If that basin, we say it doesn't drain because they're in stone, rock, and et cetera, I believe that you could fracture that. I think BSU should probably look into that, fracture that, and see if that water could drain into the aquifer, empty the drainage area, solve both of our problems. Secondly, the analogy about the bathtub, putting a cup in and a cup out. Our bathtub is full. You put a cup in, it overflows. There's no question about that. You build DRGR in that area, you make the bathtub smaller. And when a storm comes, the water comes out and we flood. And the third little issue is the development out there this massive development they're talking about, whether we have septics and sewers and water and fire hydrants, by the way. I think that the BSU franchise mandates that they supply a water distribution system to every house in the franchise area. And if they did that, you wouldn't have to have septics either. Those are my remarks. I thank you very much for listening, and I think you guys are doing a good job, and you always do.
It's our
Some
pleasure.
better than others, though.
Our pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
I'll take it, thank you.
It's still morning. Good morning.
Could you pull the microphone down? There you go.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Mary Copeland. I am a resident in Bonita Springs, and I live in Hunters Ridge community. I have been attending workshops. I've attended meetings about the development of the DRGR. I am here to say to you that unless you can honestly say there will be no flooding, and we have to remember the standing water that's out there right now. We have not had a hurricane or a tropical storm, and look at what we have there already. I'm saying to you, please go cautiously. That I think that I'm glad that you are listening to us. I'm glad that you have the workshops that you're having. I'm going to continue to monitor this, and I'm asking you, please, don't do something we'll be sorry for. You have already, the land that's out there has already been zoned. It has not been built on. There is plenty of land that has been zoned for commercial and whatnot, and for homes. So that they have not come online yet. We don't know how that's going to impact the area around there. And I have been a resident now since 2000, and it makes me nervous. So I'm asking you please to be cautious. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Deborah McLean with the Banana Peel, and I would like to read from the evaluation of land use, groundwater, surface water, and other natural resources, which was prepared for the city of Bonita Springs in June of 2005 by Greg Rawl. The first line on page 115 of 127 pages states, the groundwater flow modeling has shown that although the Bonita Springs Marl is present at varying thicknesses across the study area, the leakage through the Bonita Springs Marl is significant. And I would also like to talk about overpopulation and overdevelopment. If we do nothing with the DRGR, yes, we still have some mucky areas out there, but if we do something, we have too many people. We lose our exclusivity, our small town appeal, and New 41 dies as a commercial sector, and Old 41 dies again. So you need to think hard about the multiple reasons not to add a huge amount of people. I'm very happy that they'll all come here and go to our theaters, over 1,000 seats coming online soon, and I'm very happy they'll push us into a wonderful international level of restaurants, because I love ethnic restaurants, and I'm really happy about all of those people coming, and just like I'm really happy when we go to Estero, shop, and come home. They can come here and go to the theater and our restaurants and go home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Dan Wagner. I don't know if you can make me as happy as you made her. I'm Dan Wagner, longtime resident of Worthington Country Club, past president. I won't go into all my offices, okay? But also I represent the Bonita East Stakeholders Group. Fred's not here today, so I'll kind of speak for both of us. We've been to a lot of these workshops, questions and answers and studies, and I will say that your committee has been great to work with, real good to work with. I also want you to know that Worthington and also the other communities out there that belong to the stakeholders group are not anti-development. Please take that into consideration. But we're frightened. I bought out there in '95, guess what? I'm just in time. Worthington Country Club itself has spent over $100,000 after that flood to redo their water system and develop an outflow system with the complements of Lee County water development. We're frightened that it's not going to get any better, and if it doesn't get any better, it's probably going to get any worse. Your committee has so stated that they can't help us. They hope not to hurt us. That's not good enough for us. I think without any additional outflowing, flowways, whatever, open up some of the flowways that were supposed to be there, clean out some of the areas that are there that are not usable because the water gets there and stops. We've got one right across the street from us that we've begged many times to get it cleaned out, and it doesn't get cleaned out. I think that's your responsibility, truthfully. So we're subject to difficulty out there, and until something can show us in this DRGR study that we're not going to get more water, or we're not going to get less water, we're going to get more water, that whole community out there is going to be anti this proposal. I think I can speak that for a fact. I have a suggestion. If you should go forward with this, with the same type of thing that you're doing now, there may be a potential way to help the outflowing. And that would be the new DRGR development goes into a separate taxing community and develops the $40 million that your committee says could help lower the water levels for that whole area. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Dan. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
I want to piggyback on Councilman Simons, not Simmons, but Simons, with regards to an example that she used that is ideal. I've used Jupiter in the past with Paul Pass and the previous manager, Gary Price, because of the comparable demographics. The reason why Bonita doesn't run in a manner that is comparable to these two examples is fundamental. And that has to do basically with the decency factor. If you look at the history of Sanibel, its lead personality that we all attribute so much to was characterized by a deep-rooted, conscionable approach to being herself. If you were to be approaching her and calling her, she wouldn't brush you off and give you answers that are completely unrelated, irrelevant, and that are simply just discordial and inappropriate. What she would do is she would stimulate much more of this character-based approach to interacting with the private sector. It's a parenthesis that I wanted to open because the only way that I can see that we can spearhead this dilemma, which is indeed fundamental, is if we actually engage the media, since I have tried every other conceivable approach to making a difference, and I am determined to do so. There will be some very significant corrective maintenance in terms of the manner in which the government currently functions in this beloved city. I took the liberty to forwarding to each and every one of the council members the response that I received from Mayor Nelson this morning, which is indeed very insulting, given that he's just basically brushing me off. And I would appreciate that each and every one of you be so kind to respond to the correspondence. It was copied to my representatives in terms of Congress as well as Senate. And I will continue to follow this methodology. For now, what I would like to concentrate on specifically is the following. I'm going to be needing to compile all of the presentations that I have given in front of elected council throughout the years. Because from a strategic perspective, that would facilitate best case scenario dividends. So I would ask that you be so kind to let me know why it is that Jose Duran has told me that that would not entail a significant proposition. He's the IT manager. He said that it was subject to the authorization of the city manager for him to make such a production so that I can come and pay for that. And then I'm going to continue to be requesting that the portion of these meetings associated with my presentations be given to me every time I come here. Because I will be indeed very methodical and regular in my address to you all. So please advise, how do I make that happen?
I think that the best way for you to request that type of information is through the city clerk's office. She is the one that it supplies that type of information. She's the one who's familiar with that protocol. Not individual council persons. She's the one who you would make your request to.
Because I went to her, she made the request to Jose Duran. Jose Duran said that it would be not a problem to accomplish my request expeditiously, and it's subject to the approval of the city manager.
Okay, you're gonna have to take that up with the city manager and the city clerk, and it can't be done in this.
Which is why I've been trying to reach out to you, sir, so that I can give a 10-minute presentation.
I'm just gonna have to defer to the city manager on this.
Defer and
Thank
defer.
you very much. Okay, thank you very much for your comments.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
River of grass. What does that mean? That means a river flows. Okay, it means the Everglades. And what do we have up in Lake Okeechobee? We have stagnant water. It doesn't flow. And when it does flow, it's after it's been polluted. Water sitting in a pond is not a river. Water has to move. It can't just sit and become stagnant. Now, this is where we have a problem. We dig holes in the ground and we think it's going to disappear. It isn't going to go soaking down into the ground. The ground's already filled up with water. You got to have a flow. You got to keep moving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Donna Stone. I wanted to share with you a letter in response to questions that I asked House Representative Ray Rodriguez, and one of them was on fracking and one of them was on the water quality. As far as the fracking goes, he said that he had his office contact the Department of Environmental Protection, who issues the permits for oil drilling. It was on the oil drilling, but also Ed Fitzgerald brought up fracking to go down into the layer, and which is why I'm bringing this up. The department said there had been no permits for fracking issued in the state of Florida. So right now, fracking is not allowed. And in fact, Representative Rodriguez is again refiling a bill in 2004 session to prevent fracking. So that would be something that would not be allowed. And he also answered part of my question about the water the dirty water that's going into the Gulf right now, which is a major concern to all of us that live around the Southwest Florida area. I mean, it's not only an environmental disaster, but it's also an economic huge problem. The damage caused by the water flowing into Southwest Florida tributaries from Lake Okeechobee and out to the Gulf are of great concern and very troubling. This problem has also been noticed by Governor Scott, who announced in August the funding of a $90 million project to further hydrate the Everglades, lessening the need for water releases into the Caloosahatchee River. The problem is that the releases are overseen by the Army Corps of Engineers and therefore become a federal matter. As much, I would like to assist any concerns and questions regarding this issue to be forwarded to your federal representative and senators. Below are your federal representatives and senators. I would suggest you ask them to fund the monies promised to fix the Hoover Dike, which would allow more water to be retained and result in less water being released into the Caloosahatchee River. So in other words, we have to take care of any water flow problems ourselves, because it's not going to happen on a state and federal level right now. If we're concerned about water flow going into our rivers, then going into the Gulf, and water retention, we have to address it ourselves. I'm not against the zoning. I think that proper zoning is imperative for future development and protection, but I want it to be done correctly and to the protection of the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward. He's like, no. Okay, thank you. At this time, public comment is over, and we'll go to the city attorney's report.
Thank you.
Audrey.
I have two items today. The first is a request to advertise an ordinance. It is to hold the referendum in the annexation area. There is a map attached to the ordinance showing that part of Pelican Landing in conformance with the city, the map of the referendum area, which is listed over here. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, the first hearing will be October 2nd. Is there a motion to?
Move to approve. Move forward.
Yeah, motion to move forward to advertise, and there's a second. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mayor. But what time is that going to be?
October 2nd will be after 5 o'clock and 5:30, and October 16th will start at 9 a.m.
Okay. Any other questions?
City council meeting.
Comments?
The regular
Roll
city
call.
council.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slechta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye. Okay. What else you got?
Thank you. The next is part of litigation. We are requesting to file an offer of judgment in the parcels, in certain parcels in Shangri-La, Schwippert. I just want to point out to council, we do own the property. We own all the property for Shangri-La, but we have not concluded all the costs of paying people. This is one that went to mediation. Unfortunately, mediation was not successful. We came up to an impasse, and at this point, the next step, according to special counsel, is to file an offer of judgment in the case.
Okay, council, what's your pleasure? Is there a motion?
I'll move.
They have a motion to approve. Is there a
Second.
second? There's a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slechta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Audrey, you have anything else for us?
No, sir.
Okay, city manager's report. Carl, what do you
Thank
got
you,
for
Mr.
us?
Mayor. First off is a financial report. If there's any questions by council, I'll just have you note that 10 months into the fiscal year, according to this report, we're at 95% on collection of revenues, and our expenditures are only around 75%. So staff is continuing to manage the people's money well.
Either that or we're not paying our bills, one or the other.
Well, yes. We push it all off until next year.
Okay, take it easy.
So is that hurry up and spend it?
Just
or go
kidding
away?
about that. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
but He has a question.
Bill, do you have something?
Yeah, Lisa, the miscellaneous revenue, is that like the bank paying us back? Is something like that? I don't get that one.
No,
It's a. By the way, it's a 500. We budgeted 17,000. We're up to 105. So, I just need an explanation. I thought that was pretty neat.
That is, that's a category that's created by the State Chart of Accounts. Let me look into exactly what's in there. There's a wide range of accounts. It's basically a catch-all. Yes,
Okay.
a wide. It's a catch-all for items that do not fall into other more specific categories. So let me look into that, and I'll send you all an email on what the explanation of that is.
Okay,
But it
thank
is a positive trend. Happy to see that.
That's for sure.
Good,
Yes, sir.
good. Any other questions for Lisa while she's up here? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Carl?
And just one more item, and that is, a lot of people have talked about the 911 memorial that we held, and it was a very moving tribute. But in addition to all our external partners, and fire department and sheriff's office, I just wanted to say that we had two people intimately involved in the project. From the beginning was Nicole Perino, our director of Parks and Recreation, who was the project manager on it for the city, and she worked with a variety of people getting the thing actually installed, and that was important, obviously. And then later on, Laura Taylor, obviously responsible for putting the memorial ceremony together itself and working with all of our stakeholders in that. So I just wanted to give some special recognition to those two ladies for the great job they do, not only every day, but especially on this particular event. And with that, that's all, sir.
Thank you very much. And, yes. Oh, Nicole's not here? Well, anyway, Nicole, Laura, nice job. Very well done. Okay, we are to mayor and council member items and reports, and we'll start with approval resolution of a new member, Historic Preservation Board, Councilwoman Martin.
Thank you very much. If council will indulge me, I would like to recommend that Mr. Jurgen Walsh be voted in or appointed to serve on the Historical Preservation Board.
Is that a motion?
It is, please.
Is there a second?
So moved.
We have a second, and is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slechta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
And do you have anything else for us before I go
I
on?
do. It's that time again, and I have my friend with me. And of course, we have our flyer, which is beautifully done by our staff member, Patrick. He does a great job with this. But I want to take this opportunity to welcome the C1 banking family to the community. They have graciously announced that they will take up the sponsorship of the duck race. Dallas Revord, our good friend, has been the face of the duck race since its inception 5 years ago. So I'm thrilled that the C1 Bank has offered to do that, and we will be able to keep this fine addition to Riverfest going with the purchase of our little rubber duckies for the race down the river. So that's pretty awesome. I just want to report to council that the Art and Public Places Board is moving forward with their Art in the Sun Along Old 41 program with the murals, and they've got their letter of interest and intent sent all together, and so interested mural artists need to contact Diane Lynn here at City Hall so that they can pick up the applications on how to do that. This is going to be awesome for downtown. Not only do we have sculptures, but we're going to get a mural or 2 or 3 out of this, which is pretty awesome. Very, very excited about that. And then there's just one little community thing I want to let people aware of, that there is a scam going around that's called the jury duty scam. And what happens is you get a phone call saying that there's a warrant out for your arrest because you missed jury duty, and that if you send a certain amount of money, that will make that all go away. So the Lee County Sheriff's Office is aware of it, and they do ask that if you do get this call to please let them know at their fraud line, which is 258-3292. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Simons, I believe you have something on here for to ask to send a letter to Representative Trey Radel.
Sure.
Correct?
Yep, that's correct. Following the lead of our good colleagues in the city of Fort Myers, this is about thanking him for keeping municipal bonds tax-free. I think it's a good idea, don't you?
Sure.
Okay, so anyhow, and it's always good to keep, folks in other branches of government, reminding them who's back home and that look out for cities.
Okay, would
Okay,
you
'cause
like to
we'll
make
probably be
that
doing
a motion?
I would like to make that motion.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Good. Martha, do you have anything else for us?
Yep. First of all, I just want, and I'm sure we all are, keeping in mind, wearing my Navy button today. Got a lot of Navy in my family, but the Navy personnel and police officers who are killed and injured at Washington Navy Yard, keep their families in your prayers. That kind of nightmare's got to end. Okay, enough of that. But keep those families in your prayers. Steaming ahead with our Swamp Buggy show, which since I can comment now about murals and stuff, because I can't out of public meeting, but the Benson's Grocery is the birthplace of the Swamp Buggy. Okay, so this is one reason why we're having a Swamp Buggy show at the Everglades Wonder Gardens. We'll be making that application, Rhonda Lahan and I, tomorrow with Laura. And it'll be in front of, hopefully, if all goes well with the application, and that'll be before you later in front of the Everglades Wonder Gardens. Folks, go see that place. It's beautiful. And he's also talking about later on being able to pick up like a box lunch, have lunch there. You can also have events there. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So lucky somebody stepped forward to help clean up and improve and continue the tradition of Everglades Wonder Gardens. Anyhow, steaming ahead. That's going to be October 26th for the first annual Swamp Buggy show in Bonita Springs.
Carl and I are going to pimp up his Prius.
Yeah, that'll
Tires.
be nice.
Cool.
We're going to be, yeah.
Get your bicycle out, Ben. Okay, pimp up your bike. Put cards on with like clothespins on the spokes. Okay. Anyhow, so we're looking forward to that. And in that respect, we're also going to apply for, and this is the Historical Society with the Swamp Buggy drivers, are going to apply for a banner at Benson's at the wall at Benson's. Okay, I got your attention. We're going to put a banner up there, we hope, that announces the race, but also that shows that Ed Franks actually built Skeeter, the first Swamp Buggy, at Benson's. And so it used to be a garage, Frank's Garage. And so the tradition really started there. We had a lot of people coming to Bonita to go hunting, and he would take people out into the Everglades on this, Swamp Buggy. So it started here, folks. Okay, and we're going to have a little ribbon cutting saying, the birthplace of Benson's. It's cool, but that would be a cool mural if you want to do something historic. Oh, boy. Don't you think, Councilwoman Martin? Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks so much. I just wanted to get that message to you because I can't talk to you out of turn. Okay. And the last thing is we are continuing on with water issues at the Florida League of City meeting. I did not go this month because I didn't think it was appropriate to spend about $1,000 for like a $3 meeting. It was going to take 3 days of travel to get to Jacksonville. That's horrendous. 2 nights at a hotel. Oh, please. So I'm not spending your tax dollars doing that. But we are developing some issues for water around Caloosahatchee and what we do, south. And I want to thank you for continuing to advocate for those water issues. That's it. So I'll be going in April. April, October, probably going in April too, in October. And October will also be our State of the City address at our next local league meeting. If anybody wants to come, fine, but you want to send stuff to Carl's that you think is what's going on in the city, what's important for the city, State of the City address at the next league meeting, I welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pete, we have discussion regarding the library.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. After our last meeting, I did get in contact with our Lee County Commissioners to continue this conversation. Carl and I had previously spoken to County Commissioner Kiker, and since the last meeting, I have spoken with all of the county commissioners individually, and they are receptive. Everyone at varying degrees, but I can assure you every single one of them is receptive to furthering this conversation. And there are steps, obviously, that need to be taken. I wasn't sure at the time I was speaking with them, nor were they, I don't believe, the majority, what appropriate next steps were regarding the library, the discussion on the library, the potential of Bonita Springs running their own library system and being relieved of sending our library tax dollars to Lee County. So at this point, I just kind of wanted to continue that conversation, give you that update that by no means did I meet a stone wall. In fact, just the opposite. Very receptive and warm ears for the county commissioners to further this discussion. And since that time, I know that Carl and Audrey, in fact, Audrey has received an opinion, and I would just, like I said, want to continue this conversation to any next steps that we may or may not want to take, which may or may not involve contacting our representatives and senators for legislation in Tallahassee. So, Audrey, did you want to elaborate on the opinion that we all received? And
I would just want to elaborate that currently, based on the resolution that City Council adopted, and my understanding from talking with John Gucciardo, the county has a feasibility report. It is studying the library in Bonita Springs, and John may wish to elaborate on that. If you wish to change direction, you certainly can do so, but recognize if you change that direction, the county may desire not to spend that money. And that would be if it was, the current recommendation, and it's all in that memorandum I sent you, and what you did in March is you accepted the recommendation of the Library Task Force. And the Library Task Force recommendation was stay with the Lee County Library, have them go through the feasibility report and feasibility study.
I'd like to interject something right now on just to clarify something for the press in particular, and for everyone who's listening, is that this council did not make a decision to cleave from the county's system. We didn't express a desire to do that. Well, all we did was say that we were going to look into that. So I want to make that perfectly clear, because we had an extremely adverse reaction, as you might imagine, from county staff. County commission, like you said, the county commission was like, yeah, we'll look at it. But county staff had a really adverse reaction to that, and understandably so, mainly because we have, as Bill knows and as the committee knows and as we all know, we have worked really closely with them, and John has worked really closely with them in good faith with them, and encouraged them to go to their county commission and ask that the library millage be raised up to a point to where they could actually build a library for us, like they said they could, and to where they could pay their bills. And we told them that we would go to bat for them, and we did. We actually advocated for that. And when they got the news that after they won that battle, that all of a sudden they read that, oh, they're going to just drop out of the system, they kind of lost their minds, which I can't exactly blame them. They thought we were operating in bad faith. And so I think we've pretty much got that straightened out. They went ahead and the people in the library system have asked for that $50,000. They're going to continue with that until such time that the council goes, that's it. So I just want to make that really clear, regardless of where this goes in the future, that at this point in time, we're still we're still traveling down that path that we carved out a while down. Unless I'm wrong, council, and you say otherwise, that's the direction we're headed. And everything else that Pete's looking into is an investigation.
Right.
Pete, would you
paraphrase
it as that?
No, absolutely. You know, I think the world of you, and quite frankly, I think the world of our staff. But I'm not necessarily so concerned of what the county staff thinks. You know, they're not elected. They're not accountable to taxpayers. They're not trying to move the direction of their city forward. And I am sorry that they had an adverse reaction to that. I would be happy to go meet and discuss this further with any of them. Nor are, they necessarily the decision makers in their communities. So I guess I take a different bend on that, or I have a different look at that altogether. It's important to work with the team to make things happen. However, it's not up to them to make the decisions. And I want to continue this conversation, and if I'd like to get a sense or an idea of what this council is thinking. If I'm going this alone, if this is just me beating this drum alone, then I'll yield. But I don't believe I am. So I want to further the discussion.
Ben?
Yes, Bill.
I didn't know about these upset people, because I would talk to all those upset people. Quite frankly, I would call them on the phone and have a discussion. Unfortunately, sometimes the competency levels for people are different, and sometimes as elected officials, we really have the total responsibility to look out for the people that live in the towns that we're elected from. And I understand what you said, Peter, but I would love to know who they are, and I'd be glad to chat with them. It's not like we just.
I would prefer that not happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're welcome to do what you want to do.
Well, I think the point is.
But right now, it's okay.
Okay, but Ben, look, it's been years. It's not been it's been years, and you can only wait so long, and when you have to take action, right or wrong. And I really think that the feasibility study is fine. I'm supporting it. But Peter's point was, the fact is, how long are we supposed to wait? But now that he's got a positive response from the county commissioners, that's changes the.
Well, let's talk about positive response. Now, I'm going to express an opinion here, out of turn, and I just want to get the conversation. You want the conversation? Here it comes. One thing that I am not willing to do, as myself personally, as a representative, is to create as yet another independent district in order to have a library system. I think that's killing a mosquito with a shotgun. I mean, I really don't like the idea, because when it comes to Bonita Springs Utilities, they at least have a franchise with us, and we can at least tell them whether we agree with or we don't agree with what the rates they're going to set. We go ahead and have an independent district. You've got no control over what they do. You may have created that library, but after that, you've got nothing. You've got less say over that than you would over the library system that you've got right now. So I don't see how that actually cures anything, to create a special district in Bonita Springs and another elected board that has to do with that. I'm not sure that's really curing anything, especially when that does mean, yep, the county pulls the plug on everything it's doing right then. Boom. Now, some other option, I don't know. So I know everybody's dissatisfied with the length of time, and it was 5 years, now it's 10 or whatever like that. Myself personally, I want to continue to try to work this and to try to work within the system that we've got, as opposed to creating the special district. And that's just my opinion. I think that's, I'm curious to see what everybody else. Martha.
Thank you. At the risk of offending my constituent, who's our librarian, who does an excellent job at the Bonita Springs Library, I tend to agree with these guys, but because of the money. And I don't find having another elected board a bad thing. I mean, that's sort of spreading out the responsibility of managing our quality of life here. I don't, if you're going to developing the Bonita DRGR, you're going to have a few extra boards out there too. So they'll be elected among their homeowners association, but different scope there. So I've been reading library analysis. I just think that let me ask, the county is doing a feasibility study. They're going to have to do this feasibility study for the whole county anyhow. For North Fort Myers, I'm looking at you, John, for North Fort Myers and Bonita Springs, or it's for the whole county that they're doing a feasibility study, or option number 3, it's how these two are going to affect the whole county system.
My understanding after discussing this with county staff is that there are 3 different studies. One would be a countywide needs assessment. One would be studies particular to Bonita Springs relative to what new improvement, what new facility should be built here. And a third one would be a similar study for North Fort Myers. But that the study that they're envisioning for us is not part of the overall county needs assessment. From their perspective, the need is a given at this point. We've gotten past that, and they are actually in the process of developing the study to determine what should be built, where, and when.
And so that's a $50,000 study, or is it cumulative for all of them?
That's their estimate for that study.
Okay. I think I just heard you say we haven't spent all our money yet. Hey, let's not do that. But $50,000 to determine whether it's feasible for us to move forward to the legislature. I asked you, Carl, if we could put this on our inter-budget meeting. We haven't made a decision about this. That's true. If you put it in the budget, you do. That's a decision. If you fund something. Or at the city council meeting, we're not doing that today. So I'm not opposed to having an independent library district. I trust that people in the city who will get elected to that will be well qualified and screened by their peers, the voters.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Wish
just
to
one
delve
thing.
off into the conversation? Yes, Bill.
Do you have any information how long this feasibility study is going to take? A day, a week?
Not specifically, other than the conversations we had during the course of the library task force discussions with county staff, and at that point they indicated that one that was similarly done for the Fort Myers project took a matter of a few months. It was a matter of months, not years. I mean, my understanding, and again, without putting words in the mouth of county staff, is that this is something they're eager to see started quickly and ended quickly so that we can move on to the actual design and preparation of a facility.
Peter, your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, in my conversations with the county commissioners and others, I have heard that, yes, this millage increase is necessary to build up a reserve to build us a library. However, we may have to wait in line behind North Fort Myers. Well, you know what? We have put in upwards of $50 million into the Lee County Library system. Where is that money? It's gone. The taxpayers of Bonita Springs have spent that money. That money is gone. Why is it gone? It was mismanaged. Are we putting our future in the hopes of a $50,000 feasibility study that's being commissioned by the Lee County Library System? Why don't we take charge of our own taxpayers' dollars, commission our own study, get our own answers, and find out what the citizens of Bonita Springs want to do?
Yeah, and I think another part of this, Peter, and I appreciate your passion on this, I really do, and I understand that yeah, we want to have our own library, and that way we have control of our own destiny, and I get all that. But I think that there's another attachment about this. When you look at this, if you draw some intersecting circles here with our relationship with the county, nothing that we do so far as the county is in a vacuum. Nothing is. No decision we make does not have an effect down the way. Well, in one case, if we choose, well, we don't like the way we're treated by you on this. We think that this and that's happened. We want to go our own on this. Well, then we're going to end up back in there in that county council chamber pretty quickly again, commission chamber pretty quickly again, asking them to participate, to be our partner in a tax increment financing, right? So we're on one hand, we're going to be saying, we want loose from you here, but we want you to participate on this. And then furthermore, I mean, there was some kind of plan there in the piece of property we just bought in the downtown area. We had this, some of us had this idea that this grand structure we were going to build, we were going to partner with the county because they were going to want to put some of their county offices in there. So there was going to be a particular partnership there. So none of this, regardless of what we do, none of this is going to be done in the vacuum. That's why it's really important to take care of that relationship and be sure that no matter what decision you make here, it's done respectfully and it's done it's done in good faith, and that we don't lead them down a path and then just shut it off at some point in time. So that's all I would ask. So, anyone else want to chime in here before we carry on? Nope.
Can I ask John to find out how long the study's going to take? I mean, that's a fair question.
Absolutely. We'll try to get more specifics. I'm not sure if they can answer that unless they know or until they know which consultant they're going to hire, but we'll get that answer as soon as we can.
And that study will point towards a particular conclusion, right?
And
hold on one second.
And my understanding, again, from the discussions we had with the library task force, was that the study that they envision is one specific, again, to this community with input from our residents about their expectations and their desires as to what the ultimate facility will look like and do.
Okay.
Hello. Would you like to come to the microphone and have a say?
Yeah,
And please tell us who you are.
Yes, right. I'm Marilyn Graham. I'm from Library Administration. Our director, Sheldon Kay, was not able to be here today. We are working on a contract with a consultant for the study that we're talking about, and we would envision that it would take maybe 6 to 8 months, something like that.
To completion.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right. It's not signed, sealed, and delivered yet, but it's actively working on a contract right now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your input. Thank you so much. Yes, Pete.
Yeah, and I appreciate your comments, Mayor. And these are mutually exclusive issues that we're talking about: the library and then downtown. Correct? They're not tie-barred, correct? They're independent of each other?
Well, they are, but you're dealing with the same entity.
I understand, but
it's like going to your mother and saying, "I'm going to take all your money, and then, or can I have your money, and then I'm going to put you in a home."
Okay.
I understand that, but the reality is we deal with the county on a lot of different issues. What's our track record with the county? It's amazing. Are we a donor community or are we a receiver community? Okay, I understand the thought. Believe me, I appreciate the thought. I realize how the world works. I realize how politics works. However, they are mutually exclusive issues, and I don't think because we breeze past one, we're going to get waltzed in with another.
Okay, so what's your pleasure? Council?
Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Okay, within the budget, and maybe the lady from Library Administration can answer this. I'm not quite sure. But within the budget, tentatively, the rate that's being set, has there been any projections about when this library in Bonita Springs would be built?
Are you talking to John? Are you talking
to John? And I'm looking at the lady from Library Administration.
That's why he didn't know what you were saying.
I'm getting two with one stare.
I think he's John, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, as far as I know, again, this is from discussions at the staff level, not at the commission level, but our understanding is that they would like to see this facility built sooner rather than later. The millage rate that the Board of County Commissioners is considering, they will finalize tonight, by the way, and there has been recent discussion, as recently as Monday when they had a workshop on the budget, about keeping it at the maximum rate, tentative rate that they've set, which would allow for the accumulation of not only operating dollars, but dollars for capital projects over a 5 to 10 year period. That does not mean, however, and again, this is from staff level, not from the Board of County Commissioners, but that does not mean that we would have to wait 10 years for all the dollars to accumulate. As you know, we often fund projects up front and then pay ourselves back. That's a decision that we've made here. It may be a decision that's similarly made at the county level. I can't speak for them, but again, as of hopefully the end of the budget hearing tonight, we're going to know exactly what that millage rate is for the county system, and therefore can project out when those dollars will accumulate.
Yes, did you have
That
something to
about
add?
No, actually, I don't have anything to add. That's
accurate, by the way.
That's the
Thank you.
the
Thank
right
you.
answer.
So
Thank you very much again.
5 years times 5 million, because that's about what we're going to be paying again, is 25 million. I mean, if you set up an independent library system and they bonded, they could make the same arrangement with us. And Councilman Simmons, you make a really good point about what our track record is. One of my first votes on this council was when we were doing Imperial Parkway, and there had been a super impact fee given by Ronto out in East Bonita. The same day, I think it was, and it was like all of a sudden, whoa, the county's in to scoop up another it's going to cost us $6 million. You have to give us that. It was like, really? What? What do I know? Okay, but okay, Bonita Beach Road. I mean, it goes on and on how we're partnering with the county, but it seems to be that, no offense, and that has nothing to do with staff because y'all are doing your job, but we keep getting the short end of the stick down here. I just feel that way. They're great people, wonderful people. Don't mean to upset them or anything, but I am here to look out for my city.
Ben.
So,
Yeah, I'm going to go to Steve here.
Okay,
I think,
excuse me,
and
go
then I'll
ahead,
come back to you, Bill.
That's all
Stephen,
right.
go ahead.
I've really tried to stay out of this because, it's those guys doing their job. They don't get in my business very often.
yeah.
I think you're going the wrong way. I mean, $25 million on a building or whatever you're going to do, everything's going electronic. The kids are reading electronic books. The whole idea is to get away from paper. Yeah, I love to have a book in my hands. But I think 10 years from now, we're going to be asking ourselves, what in the world did we do? So before you come to any final conclusion on building a building, restructuring, take a look at the structures we have and see if there isn't something we can do to put a combination with the existing library and its resources in a building that we have already downtown possibly, where you can put the computerized part of it, get the electronic books in there. But let's think farther down the road than trying to figure out is the county going to pay this or are we going to pay this, because there are simpler ways to do a library than what we're doing this. And I'm sorry, I've tried to stay out of it, but
You're absolutely right.
Oh, we're not going to let you stay out of it.
I'm out of it.
You're right, man.
You're absolutely right.
I don't know if the county's
okay,
going to change.
So, here's where we're at. We're at a point in time when we need to know whether or not council is wait until after the budget cycle and get some more questions answered, try to get a time frame so far as what might be the completion. And because that completion date, if that completion date is satisfactory, council might be okay with staying with the system if they get some type of commitment. If not, or you may not. So what would you like to do so far as signal for our staff? Are you willing to, do you want to go down the road and make a vote to go to the legislature and start forming your own special district, or are you wanting to wait and see what happens here?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm willing to go one more time in terms of waiting on the county to, I'm not optimistic, but I would go with the majority of the board, I'm sure, to allow them to continue with the study that they're doing. But 6 to 8 months to get a study back? I mean, I don't get that at all. I mean, I may not understand it, but I think you should be able to get an answer tomorrow, but that's...
Well, do the demographics.
Excuse me, and the bottom line is that the people of Bonita Springs, in terms of the financial side of it, have paid in it, as Peter has said, millions and millions of dollars in addition to our operating costs of the library. And all I'm about is making sure that the citizens of Bonita Springs get a fair shake now, not 10 years down the road. And it has nothing to do with the library staff. We have a wonderful library. We have a great director. It's not about the people that work in. It's the county commissioners that have the responsibility to fix it. And they haven't done it in all these years. And that's where we are. And I would like to go with the study with the county, but I don't think it should take 6 to 8 months to do a study.
Mayor.
I mean, look how fast Baracco and Associates got back to us.
Okay.
With
All
something
right.
entirely not
Mayor.
related to it.
Hold on.
It's going to take...
Thank you, Bill.
Mayor.
Martha? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Martha.
Yeah, it's going to take 6 to 8 months. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of demographics and, that kind of thing. But it's already taken us, with you being here, Bill.
Yes.
How many years you been serving?
5.
Okay, that's 5 years. And let's have another 5. That'll be 10 years. And while at our best hopes, having an independent library district could accomplish what Councilman McIntosh is talking about, and that is, you don't need a huge, big library building, right? You could combine it and invite the county to be partners, the city to be partners.
Well, let's ask a question. Audrey, would you like to
Well,
take
may
a
I
stab?
finish,
Would you like to take a
please?
stab
I have the floor.
At how long it would take to establish a special district through the legislature?
I actually was starting to do the beginning.
that look on your
at
face.
that. Yes, I
About
have
2
that
years.
look on that face because in order to create one, you would have to have feasibility studies. It would have to be
Sure.
approved. I don't think you're going to meet the local legislative delegation in December when they meet,
Correct.
to request a special act. I believe the deadline for the December local legislative delegation is traditionally in November.
Yeah.
So you're looking at under 6 weeks of
No,
trying to
you-
get it
you-
for this fiscal
So
year.
you're probably looking at a year
Probably
to
a year.
2 years.
Correct.
Right, in order to form the special, just to form the special district.
To get it to the point where the legislature can do a special act, and then after that special act is adopted in that May, then that November, and then the next year is when it would go into effect.
Correct. That's
Mayor,
better than
what
10
are you
years,
trying to
Mayor.
answer here?
About 2 more years.
I'm not sure what we're trying to do here.
No, all I'm trying to say is that there seems to be a rush to get this stuff done. I'm just saying that
A rush?
either way, don't, it's going to take a while to do either path. So
Okay.
Bill has suggested that he's willing to wait, as am I, to wait to see what comes out of this and to try to get some type of a little more definitive answer on how long before we could actually get into a.
Is that a motion?
No, Mayor.
Is that a motion?
Hold on one second,
I'll make the
Martha.
motion.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for giving me the floor back. Okay, so
You're welcome.
thanks, sir. Okay, so having an independent library district might take 2 years. He's been here 5 years. I've been here 7 years. That was something that was important to my predecessor. How long is this going to take? Is it going to happen? Who knows? But 2 years is not a long time. In the meantime, we're saying to the county, okay, go ahead, do the feasibility study. And then, we might pull the rug out of them later on if we don't like a 5 or 10 year time frame. And that's not fair to them either. So, we're going to say, go ahead, spend $50,000 instead of
So
us
your
taking the
opinion,
bite.
I'm going to cut the chaser. Your
Sure.
opinion is that we should go ahead and go follow through right now with a special taxing district.
No, my opinion right now is that we should fund a feasibility study to see if it's feasible for us to do that.
I call the question.
Thank you.
Okay, the question has been called, and the question is to go ahead and wait to see, go ahead and allow the not library task force, staff to go ahead and finish the study. Roll call.
Councilman Slakta?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
No.
Councilwoman Simons?
No.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Okay, that passes 4-3, if I count correctly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wait and wait to see what happens on that. At the same time,
We will continue to work with county staff to make sure that the study is what we envision it to be and that the results or that the process involves our community involvement and to the best extent possible. We'll see where that goes.
can you also try to find out a little better working with the staff there when they might be able to pull the trigger on actually creating a library? Let's try to get a more definitive. I think that may answer a lot of questions for some people. Okay. Peter, did you have anything else for us?
I do. I just want to make one last comment. Dr. Steve hit the nail on the head. We don't need the traditional library. I don't believe we need the traditional library, but we do need the independence to take this matter into our own hands and not wait on others. And that's, I guess, the last I will say about that. And then the next thing is, I'm with Martha, would not be going to the Jacksonville meeting, but the October meeting for the Florida League of Cities in Orlando. Carl and I have had a conversation with Izzy Havanek and Carol Green, and I've had a subsequent conversation with Joe Love, who's the lobbyist for the Rooney family that owned the Palm Beach Kennel Club, and who also root for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. And they have another, in this meeting in October, Martha, and I should let you know this because as you and I can't talk, we don't talk, In October, we're going to be going to Orlando. Don't have all the details worked out yet, but I'll be making a presentation to the committee that I serve on, the Florida League of Cities Economic Development, to see if this would be pushed forward by the Florida League of Cities to be a legislative issue, expanded gaming. So we would have another team, if you will, a statewide team working with the city of Bonita Springs and other cities to move this issue of expanded gaming forward in the legislature, see if we can get it up for a vote, see if not only can get it up for a vote, get it passed. And just wanted to let you know about that presentation in October. Izzy Havanek will be joining myself. I believe Carl will be presenting. I believe Carol Green will be presenting. And I believe Joe Love and/or somebody from the Roonies on the East Coast will be presenting to our committee at the Florida League of Cities on this issue. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you very much. Steve, what do you have for us today?
Well, first of all, Mr. Steinmeier, I want to thank you so much for the comment that you made about 9/11. We can compliment each other, the staff can compliment each other, but what's music to their ears and our ears is when our constituents, residents, and citizens of our great city tell us that, because for some reason that tends to energize us that next year we want to see how we can top it. So thank you so much for that. The other thing I want to mention is Christina, the reporter for News Press. I don't know if you saw it, but it made the front page, that Twin Towers artifact made the front page and the page of the week. Christina, thank you so much for that great article. We appreciate it. And that's it.
You should write yourself in the News Press for doing that. Oh, wait, you did. Anyway, yes, Dr. Steve, do you have anything for us?
Last thing, our area lost a good person. Dr. Richard Pegnetter passed away recently.
Yeah.
Dean Pegnetter was the first dean of the College of Business out at FGCU. He was also interim president during the time we searched for President Bradshaw. He brought that school to a higher level of academic excellence, and we'll all miss him on several different levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Also on the agenda here, we have approval of resolution reappointing 5 existing members and appointing a new member for the Technology Board.
That would be me.
Okay, go ahead.
The motion is to accept Jim McLaughlin, and he has proven how committed and steadfast he is because he sat here through this entire meeting. Jim, would you wave to the crowd and let them know you're still awake and with us? Thank you very much.
Well, that's just odd. I would be sleeping a long time ago.
Well, I tried. I'd move that we accept the new board, the reappointment of the board members and Jim McLaughlin to the board.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
And
Second. There's a motion second. Any other discussion? Yes.
just clarification, that would also include renaming Mike Sokol as chair. I think that's
Absolutely,
a function of your group.
Would, yeah, okay. Absolutely. We'll add that to it. You got it? Good. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye. Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, approval of minutes. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Have motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes. Roll call, please.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, public comment on any item, please come forward.
Yeah, Rick Steinmeier. This library is really getting to be a pain in the neck. But the only people I hear complaining about the library are city council people. I don't hear anybody from the public complaining about the library. You know, we don't even complain about the taxes we pay to Lee County. I don't know. My solution to the possible problem is you take a piece of office space, rent it, fill it with computers, one person to keep the computers running, and there you got an independent library. Everybody can go in and push the buttons and read what they want to read, and you don't need any staff. All you got to do is pay the rent. The computer company would probably present all, make a deal with all the equipment needed, and be done with it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Seeing none.
Hey,
Not quick
push
enough.
my
man.
luck here.
Alberto Bayer, regarding the subcontracted arms to our government, namely the building inspectors, I have been shortchanged. I'd like to know which of the council members is the spokesperson of that, in that regard? Or who is the city spokesperson relative to John Dolmer's?
That's under the city manager's purview.
Okay.
But go ahead, carry on.
They've let me down, namely because I had a restoration project that involved four components. The four components were not addressed to meet code, one of which was electric, and the building inspector passed it. We still have the same problems, the dimming of the lights, the inappropriate electric system, despite the fact that we put the largest panel that a residential home can accommodate. However, they did not run their home runs in order to GFI protect it and a million other things. Nevertheless, it was inspected, it was finalized, and we ended up with the problem. There's no way for us to get this matter addressed adequately in order for us to be able to then move to civically or through the civil process, go after the GC, and then ultimately the sub. That same GC who let us down significantly messed us all up with the restoration of our pool, which has been black for some time now, as well as for the air conditioning system, and which we put in a Rolls-Royce version AC with variable speeds, etc., etc. And I took action in that regard to the point where I've extended myself, because you cannot live without AC, so I've had to bite the bullet. And then there's also the garage, which when we bought the house, it had an illegal den. And when we moved to switch it to an LLC, so that if we ever wanted to rent it out, we could get permits and not be violated, it wasn't completed. They just took off the walls and left all of the mess there for us to live with, which now has been a little over a year since we've been trying to take corrective measure. With regards to the police, you already know, have been shortchanged big time. Just recently, as a result of the fact that Major Kathy Reardon, who used to be our captain, was instrumental in recruiting our neighbors next door to accuse me of breaking a picket that I never broke, and of saying that I made the fence collapse, which you would need a bulldozer or the whole Heat team with Shaquille O'Neal as the main player to be able to accomplish it. And even then, you can't. And I ended up living in the jail for 30 days as a result of that. So they've really let us down. And I'd like to know, who do we go to in order to be able to get these matters addressed? Because when you submit internal affairs investigation requests, they go to deaf ears, given that the people involved are, what, one short of the sheriff? No, now there's a chief, colonel. The colonel that used to be the captain here at one time, Alan, is now chief. And the internal affairs investigation captain is Tracy Sonier, who used to be the lieutenant that worked under Kathy Reardon when I was framed 4 years ago by these two individuals. So the red light is on. I will be back.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anyone else that's this time like to come speak? Seeing none, thank you, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.
Chinese or whatever it is.
Well, you're on the